it's time to welcome in someone who doesn't play with a keyboard, who doesn't play with a pad. But I think this is the first time I welcome someone who is playing with a wheel in Trackmania. GranaDy, welcome to the Trackmania Live. How is life?
Life is good. Thanks for having me. It's kind of hot over here, but yeah, I have to deal with it.
I feel like everybody mentioned how hot it is. I don't know if that's the case or just want to make me jealous because it's 12 degrees here in northern Norway.
Oh, yeah, I would rather have 12.
But can you tell people that you're also the first time on this channel? So I'm gonna allow, let's say, a casual fan to get to know you. Who are you? What do we need to know about you before we get into some spicy topics?
So, as Eirik already said, my name is GranaDy. I'm a 19 years old competitive Trackmania player from Germany. And he already mentioned the most famous aspect about me is that I'm playing with a steering wheel instead of a keyboard or a pad, what the most players play with.
Hmm. And then can you tell people shortly what was your way into Trackmania, and did you already play with a wheel back then?
So I've been actually playing Trackmania for I think around 13 years already, so quite a long time actually. And I was like 6 or 7 years old when I began, and I came to the game because my father used to play the very first Trackmania version, and he kind of showed me the game as a kid, and really impressed about all the jumps and the loopings and the stuff, like things kids are impressed about. And for some reason I never really stopped playing the game, and I think at around 12 or 13 years I started to play a bit more and also got quite a lot better. And yeah, and since basically the beginning of 2020 I'm a competitive player in Trackmania Stadium and
Hmm.
now in the new Trackmania.
Yeah, because I think the first time I heard about you or noticed you was maybe late 2019. If not, it was early 2020. I spammed you saying that you should go to Twitter because you're so unique with this wheel. But when do you feel that you eventually become one of these best players that can compete against the other best players?
Well, I wouldn't really call myself one of the best players yet.
Yeah, I will.
Uh, yeah. Well, I've always been, as you might know, before I started to play Stadium, I played Trackmania United Forever very actively, and I also started to play competitions in this game, like in 2019. And I saw that I can really compete with the best players over there, and so I started training more and more. And I really good in the few competitions that I played in Trackmania United. But the problem for me was that there barely were any competitions at all. I think over half a year I played like 3 competitions, which is really not a lot. So basically at the end of 2019, I decided to move to Stadium to see if I can compete there as well. And yeah, as you can see, I
But I feel that I mentioned that you are one of the best players. I mean, you have competed in some grand finals, you have won some smaller events, but I feel every time you mention the name Grenady, it's like, yeah, he's a wheel player. So it's almost like the wheel part of your game is taking away the sort of skill. Do you feel that maybe it's becoming somewhat, I don't know, a meme is probably the wrong word, but that you get so much attention about you playing with a wheel that maybe your skills are not getting highlighted as much?
well, that's an important point to mention. But for me, it's not really a problem because it's understandable because like literally no one except me plays Trackmania with a racing wheel. And yeah, and I'm actually quite good with it, I guess. And so I don't have a problem with it getting recognized as the typical wheel player in the game. So for me, it's fine. And in the many tournaments that I play currently, I can show what I can do. And I guess most people know that I really can be good in tournaments as long as I train and put some time in it.
So the question was basically, do you feel that you have an advantage at some parts in Trackmania over a keyboard player and a pad player, or some disadvantage compared to, let's say, a keyboard player and a pad player on ice, dirt, tech, or anything?
Well, I have advantages, but I also have quite a few disadvantages. Basically, I have an advantage at every technique in the game that requires smooth steering. So, you, for example, have the speed slide. You have the bobsleigh parts in the ice because their smooth steering is really necessary to get a lot of speed. And also for like really precise part, having a wheel is quite good in my opinion. But then there are also techniques like the neo slide or basically very fast turn combinations where you have to full steer from one side to the other. Then my wheel, of course, gives a bit of a disadvantage. But yeah, I learned how to avoid disadvantages. For example, if there's a neo slide, a very important one on a competitive track, then I sometimes change to keyboard mid-run and it worked out.
Yeah, a question from the chat here from Lumar is asking, do you think that you could be a better player if you use pad all the time compared to, let's say, a wheel?
Well, I actually tried to play some pads, like before I started playing with wheel actively on Stadium, like at the end of 2019. But first of all, it wasn't that fun for me than playing with a wheel because it was kind of hard for me because I never really played Stadium before. And so I had to learn a new device and a new environment at the same time, which was kind of complicated and it wasn't that fun for me. And so I decided to stay with my wheel, which I played with like 12 years. And yeah, it stood like this. Maybe if I put in the effort and the time, I could become with a pad as good as I'm with a wheel right now, but I don't really see a sense in doing it. So I just gonna stay with my good old wheel.
Yeah, and also a question from the chat, a guy who was just on this Trackmania live. Rasta is asking, does it hurt your hands to play a long session on a wheel?
Well, it doesn't really hurt my hands because my hands are just gripping the wheel and that's quite relaxing. But if I really play a long session, like several hours without break, my arms are really getting tired because yeah, steering is, you have to steer quite actively fast on some of the maps. And if you do like this for several hours, it's getting really exhausting, especially in summer when it's like, as I said, 30 degrees outside. I really have to take some breaks after an hour. And I also thought, for example, in the Open Grand League that I played, the 2020 Winter Edition, the races were like 6 to 8 minutes long, and even that was quite exhausting without any breaks. So that definitely is a disadvantage, I think, but yeah, it's okay. I got used to it.
Yeah. And I mentioned that I discovered you late 2019, if not early 2020. But since then, you have done some solid results. If you are looking at from your own point of view, what event are you the most happy with? What event are you the most proud of accomplishing?
That is a good question. The biggest tournament I've won so far was the GMTV Cup 3. I think it was in March. Like it was back in Trackmania 2 Stadium. It was yeah, the biggest event I won, and I was really proud of myself because I really did a good match there. And besides from that, maybe to come to the current Trackmania, I kind of like my performance in the Mingo Cup too. I don't know if you have seen it.
Mm.
And also in the Space Station Gaming Cup, I did really good, I think. And yeah, but I still have the possibility to get a lot better. So there hasn't really been a match where I said, oh yes, that was the perfect match. Yeah, I didn't have that yet, and I think it will take a lot of time until I can say this about a match that I played.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken with Carl Jr. and I think he only felt that after playing in Lyon once he dominated at the winner bracket final. So there is some room for improvements, even though you are the best player like Carl Jr. But I think this is the last weekend of PK Arc, if I recall correctly. How are you looking at the standings there? I've seen you play some of the events. How serious are you taking it, and what goal do you have there?
So basically, to explain the format, you have to play 6 weeks in a row to get qualified for the grand final. And I unfortunately missed the first week because, yeah, I just didn't know about it. And then I kind of try-harded like the last 4 weeks, and I did some pretty good results. I reached the grand final 2 times against a few of the best players in the world. And yeah, think I'm already safe in the grand final, even though I don't play the last step, but I think I'm still gonna play it. And yeah, for the grand final, I will of course do my best. I will train all the 6 maps and see how far I can go. Can't really tell what I can do because yeah, as I said, some of the best players of the world are playing the cup as well. like Spam and Onyo and Link and many others. So it will be definitely hard to get a top position there, but yeah, I will try my best. And yeah, I think maybe my goals are reaching top 5. That would be pretty sick.
If you have to name one favorite, who would that favorite be? Who is looking the best at the moment?
I think according to the standings, Shocker from B Genius is looking pretty good. And also Super Karluf, like the 2006 World Champ, is playing insanely good. I think also obviously Spam can do really good as long as he trains. And yeah, as I also mentioned, Link is a favorite in my opinion. So it will definitely be a good fight for the first place. And I hope I can be part of this fight.
But after that event, there is a more important event coming up, and I assume you're going to play it. It's the Open Grand League. How serious are you taking it? Is that your biggest goal for this end of the season in Trackmania?
Well, I'm definitely taking it very serious because I already played the OGL in the OGL Winter 2020, and I also did pretty good there. So I know that I have the possibility to like get a top position there, and I definitely gonna do my best. I also trained the maps a bit already, and yeah, I think my goal will be to reach the combine. That would be good, and I definitely know that I can do it. But what I heard from some other players, they are also gonna try hard this competition to get into the Trackmania Grand League. So I think it will be way harder to reach the combine than it was in the previous OGL.
Yeah, I mean, you're the third guest on today's live chat, and the third guy saying you will compete in Open Grand Leagues. I feel like everybody's stepping up to play Open Grand League this season, so that's really fun. But the question that I ask is, who is the favorites? And then people are struggling to mention favorites to actually qualify. Maybe you're a better guy to ask it. You are playing against players a lot. Do you have any names who is looking to be, if you have mentioned 3 or 4 names that are your favorites to make it or win Open Grand League?
That's a difficult question because I
Exactly.
don't know, I don't know what everyone is playing the competition. I know that, for example, Onyo is gonna play it, and I know that he's gonna really try hard to get a good result there. I hope me myself can be a good person to like do good there. And else, yeah, there are so many great players around. If they play and try hard, they could do really good. But mentioning certain names is actually difficult. I'm thinking about them, but I think, for example, Link also could be good there. He stepped up his game a lot, I think. Like at least every competition I played against him, he was one of the top contenders for the victory. And I think he can be for the OGL as well. And yeah, I guess there are really a lot of players who can do good there. It's hard to mention.
So I guess it's easier maybe to ask who your favorite for the Trackmania Grand League is going to be, because then you have 16 players and not maybe 500 players to pick from. Do you have a favorite to win this Trackmania Grand League fall 2020?
Well, there are some obvious candidates. For example, Carl Jr. is definitely a good choice, I think. And then also, which I will be excited about to see, is how Gwen will actually do in the Trackmania Grand League. I played a lot of tournaments against him already, and he always was one of the guys who you could never beat. So it will be interesting to see how he will do against the very best players of the world. And yeah, it will be really exciting to see if he can maybe fight for the victory. Me myself, I at least hope so, because yeah, it would be interesting to see him playing against Carl, and the ZRT Trackmania Cup showed that he can beat him. And yeah, but I think also other players like Bren, Papu, maybe also Riolu and Spam will have a nice chance there. But my top choices would be Carl and Gwen.
And I'm going to put you on the spot to pick one winner. Who do you pick? Is it Team Carl Jr. or Team Gwen?
I think I'm gonna go with Team Gwen.
Oh, there we have it. There we have it. The ballsy prediction. If you make it, then you can cut out this part of the clip and post it on Twitter, and I will retweet it. So yeah, maybe get one more follower.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, I mean, you are producing a lot of content on both on Twitter and YouTube as well. Do you feel that how do you feel that the content production in Trackmania is it easy to get the recognition outside the Trackmania community? Is it easy to get recognition within the Trackmania community once you somewhat start to launch a YouTube channel, for example?
Well, it's definitely easier to get recognition within the Trackmania community. I don't think there are too many people who watch my content, if you can even call it like that, outside of the Trackmania community, because I mostly upload like very certain things, for example, world record runs on some competitions that I currently play, and there are not many people outside of the TM community that would really watch it on purpose, at least. But I think within the Trackmania community, there are quite a few people watching my videos on YouTube and also the few runs that I post on Twitter. And yeah, most of them are they're like getting like good results, and people say that I enjoy my runs, especially the runs where I have my wheel cam installed. That's always pretty exciting to see for them. And yeah, it's great to get good feedback after them. So I try to get my runs to the public as often as I can.
And now you are on the public with a face reveal here as well on my channel, so that's really cool to get another Trackmania name to showcase here on this channel. It's been a pleasure, man. Hope it's not going to be the last time I speak with you, and maybe the next time it's not going to be only wheeled questions, but about you more as a competitor in hopefully the Open Grand League, and if not in other competitions like PK Arc and other events in Trackmania. So it's been a pleasure, man. I hope you also had a great time here on this little Trackmania live.
Thanks for having me again. It was a really fun interview, and I hope also the viewers enjoyed.
Yeah, it seems like at least Rasta seems to be a fan of you, so you have at least one fan there. He's more fan of you than he is of me, but that's it for GranaDy. And now the last interview is going to be Nico. If you don't know who he is, well, then wait until the break is over, and you will learn about who Nico is. Thank you so much, GranaDy.
No problem. Thanks for having me.